Welcome to the Hormone Hub, your go-to source for the conversations every woman in her 40s and 50s needs to have. I'm your host, Kylie Pinwill, your nutritionist helping you navigate your way through perimenopause, menopause and beyond so you can say goodbye to the endless fatigue, unexplained weight gain, hot flushes, PMS, mood changes and more that come on this hormonal roller coaster. If you missed the memo or think this is only for women of a certain age, ladies, it's time to think again. Now sit back, relax and enjoy the show. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss any of my latest episodes, which are released every week. Share it with your friends, your sweaty sisters. The more we talk, the more we help each other. Hello and welcome back to the Hormone Hub, everyone. It's Kylie here, and today I am very excited to have a guest. My guest is Nicole Layton. Now, Nicole and I go back about 10 years, I think it would be.
Yes.
And, as I guess sort of work associates and then, friends. And Nicole has a really interesting journey. And I think it's going to resonate a lot with, a lot of ladies listening today. So, there's sort of a health journey and also a journey with alcohol, which is, I guess a big part of all of our lives and, just the Aussie thing and socializing and it's Barbie or what are you doing? Let's catch up for a drink. And, it's very much a part of what we do. So, I won't sort of share too much of Nicole's story. I'll let her do that. But I think it's a conversation worth having because I think, for a lot of us, there's alcohol that we use as a coping mechanism, alcohol we use to block things out, alcohol we just use to deal with daily life. So Nick, welcome to the show. It's
Thanks,
great to have you here. And if you would like to sort of introduce yourself and sort of share a bit of your journey.
Thanks, Kylie. So my name's Nicole Layton and I run my own recruitment business, which I've had for 10 years. I'd say almost 11 now. 5 years ago, I decided to go on, I went back to yoga, that you sort of, something that I did for a very long time. And then once you have kids and get married, have kids, you sort of forget, get busy and having your own business. So it started letting me have a look at a lot of my lifestyle. But I was actually thinking about our conversation that we had the other day and, where it all sort of stemmed for me. I put a thing on Facebook, I think last year, and I had given up alcohol for 500 or 600 or something days. And I was actually in the bath and I was reading my Quit app. And I went, wow, I didn't even realize it was that long. So my journey, I suppose, with alcohol is probably not dissimilar to the ladies that will be listening today. And it's probably about, 12 years ago, I had pulmonary embolisms. And I had to go on warfarin for a year. And this is where I think whether it's an addiction or whatever it is, but where a habit was formed. And my doctor said to me at the time, he said, do you drink? And I said, oh, yeah, I have a wine here and there. I have probably, 3 times a week. I might have 3 glasses, during the week. And then obviously if I'm going out, I'll have more. And he said, well, you can't do that. He said, you either have 2 drinks every day or you have none for a year. And the thought there, 2 drinks every day, because with warfarin, I had to make sure that I kept my blood levels the same.
Okay.
So, and I always think about that. If he had have said to me, you've got to give up for a year, I would have given up for a year, when you've got something wrong.
Yeah.
And so I then, I looked forward to my 2 glasses. I never got, obviously you don't get drunk, on 2
No,
2 so I'd have my.
But you were just
glasses.
Given permission to drink wine every day.
100%. Yeah, it didn't matter red or white or as long as
that is the most bizarre health advice I've ever heard.
You know what? I think of it now and I think, can't believe that he actually said that to me.
Yeah.
So I would say that it's, because your bloods have to stay the same.
Yeah.
You can't have alcohol. Anyway, so that's for a year I was doing this and when it got to the end where I was able to get off the warfarin, I was sort of being a little bit cheeky, and I'd have, 3 or 4 glasses, not like in every night, but when I did, and you could actually feel it, your veins, you could feel the alcohol thinning your blood. I could feel it in my body. But anyway, I got off that. So then I went to having probably 3 glasses. I can't really remember exactly, but it got to the stage where I'm like, hang on, it was a habit that I got into every day. And it's like, okay, I can have that habit, but not every day,
Yeah.
But so I stopped doing it every day, and it'd be like Monday to Wednesday I'd have off. And by Wednesday it'd be like, I think I might have a glass. But it got to the stage where I would always leave. And it was funny because when I spoke to a lot of ladies over the years, they do a lot of the same. So you'd have 2 or 3 glasses, which sounds okay, but your glasses are always bigger than the normal.
Yeah.
And I'd always leave that little bit, about 2 inches or, a couple of centimetres in the bottom. Yeah. And it was like, okay, well, that's good. I didn't have the whole bottle.
Whole bottle, right. Okay.
But the next day you'd have a little bit more.
Too. Yeah.
So you'd pour that in, you'd go, oh, well, you can't just have 1 glass of that tiny little bit. You've got to, so you have to open up the other bottle.
Yeah.
And just going back into starting yoga again, and that getting up so early in the morning to do that, and you'd feel great after you would do it.
Yes, of course.
But the effects that it had on my body and I was saying to you before, like that inner critic that you would have that would go, you're an idiot, why are you doing it? It's just that. And it would put you through anxiety and a bit of depression. So anyway, 2 years ago now, actually, it's almost to the day 2 years ago, a friend of mine went to a hypnotist, and she said it was working for her. She did it in February, and I went, right, I'm going to do it. And I said, as long as I can give up, I don't want to drink during the week anymore. And if I have a couple of glasses on the weekend, then that's fine. Yeah. And she said she won't see you unless you're 100% committed. Yeah. And I went, okay. So I went in there still in the back of my mind going, oh, yeah, I'll be fine.
I won't tell her that I'm going to drink on the weekend.
I'm 100% committed. But I did. I gave up for 21 months. And I turned 50 this year.
Yep.
And, last year when my son was turning 18, it was like, I might have a champagne at his 18th. But then COVID was there, so we didn't have a party. And I went, well, why bother? I'm not going to have it. And I sort of got to the stage where it was like, well, why just have one? I don't want to. But then when it was my 50th, I thought, oh, I'd like to. So it's in an interesting situation where I'm at the moment, because I have been having a couple of glasses.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I have had probably too many, some, over the last 2 months, probably twice.
Yeah.
And now it's putting those boundaries in where you need to choose what makes me feel right, and how I felt before, and really analysing that.
Yes.
To get that balance.
Yeah, that's right. So just sort of going back to, when you did sort of give up, was it something that you're able just to, following the hypnotherapy, just go, pitching, all right, done, gone, or did you really have to still work at it?
It was also through COVID. So some people were affected by that, but to me, it was, I listened to the tapes like she told me to, and I did it consistently, what she said. I didn't struggle at all. I actually was a little bit like an enlightenment sort of feeling. I felt really strong. I felt committed, confident.
Yeah.
I suppose what I did struggle with, it was friendships that disappeared.
Yeah.
And, I would reach out to people, but also in saying that, some of the people were struggling themselves going through COVID. But some people would say, oh, I just didn't want to tempt you. So I thought that I'll give you a call in 3 months. And it's like, well, what happens if I never drink again? Will we not be friends?
Yeah, I know. Well, that's it. It's making other people feel uncomfortable with their choices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I did have a lot of people sort of reach out to me and say, oh, Nick, I'm really proud of you. How did you do it? What did you do? But I think it's a personal journey. It's not like I've had people that went to the same lady that I went to for the hypnosis and it didn't work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it must have been that.
You were ready, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And
so it will be interesting to see how it goes over the next couple of months where that boundaries, and because I'm at that stage where it's like, well, no, I want to have a glass here and there, but I don't want to get back to the way I was.
Yeah, 100%. So, it's so interesting. So how did you feel? So once you'd given up, like what sort of differences did you notice within yourself and within your health, your mental health, by not drinking?
Completely, I would say so much more relaxed.
Yeah.
Able to...
We kid ourselves thinking alcohol is going to relax us.
No, yeah. It took some time for me to get into a better sleep pattern because I would wake up at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, that sort of time frame. And also my eczema was a lot worse and then I would scratch during the night because of having alcohol. It did take a while. Probably it took 3 months to get back into a better sleeping pattern.
Yes.
But it was, what was the nicest thing? Because my husband didn't give up drinking, and he will drink when he goes out, we go and visit friends. But when you go and visit friends, the next day I would wake up and go, oh, I remember exactly what I said. I didn't embarrass myself. I didn't abuse someone. So that was probably the biggest. I was actually proud of myself.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's good. And then what about in terms of your energy levels and, your mental health and your mental clarity?
Yeah, it was it's so much clearer. And if I look at it, and even now when I've had a few drinks on the weekend, I would find that just in the last week, it was Monday and Tuesday, I was quite demotivated, and I know it was because I had some alcohol on the weekend.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So it's that whole new level of self-awareness, what life is like without it and what life is like, with alcohol.
And it's, I think with myself as well, being like, I do mindfulness coaching so I am extremely self-aware of different, like the inner critic and, different sensations that I have in my body. I actually, if I go past that 2 or 3 drinks, it makes me then, I suppose, feel a bit, am I practicing my truth and being authentic if I'm doing that? And because I know that it makes me feel different.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally get that after Easter. So we had a very indulgent Easter with, there was alcohol and there was sugar and in larger quantities than I would normally drink and eat. And I sort of got to Easter Monday and I was like, oh my God, and it is that inner critic. It's sort of like, okay, I'm not, because I'm very proud of the fact that I walk my talk, and I will totally own the fact that I love a glass of wine and I love a coffee and I, can be lazy and, but for the most part, I like to walk my talk. And I just felt after Easter, I felt like a complete trash bag. So this is where I jumped in. I owned it in the Facebook group. I'm like, okay, ladies, let's do a 10-day detox. Who's with me? And, and it was amazing, so we had sort of 100 ladies jump on it or over 100, because I think, it's nice for women to connect with someone, the ladies and your friends who've read your story would have been the same thing. Like people can connect with that story, and I think just that honesty that, you've got about, okay, I gave up, I got to a certain point and now I've had a few drinks and where am I at now? So I think it's...
And I went to yoga this morning and I was only talking to one of my girlfriends there and, and she I actually didn't think she drank. And she said, no, Nick, she said, I gave up for years and years and years. And she said, but I put in firm boundaries with myself. She just came back from Fiji with her family. And she said, I had 2 cocktails every single night. And she said, one cocktail I had at lunchtime. And she said, there was one day that I had 3, but it made my body the next day not feel right. So she said, she goes, I'm extremely strict with my boundaries.
Yes, yeah.
But I allow myself to do everything in moderation. And I thought, you know what, you just learn every day about when you're speaking with women. And I thought, that I really love that. And I thought that's something that I really want to be, and it's that commitment, isn't it? It's having that choice and being committed to those choices and having that boundaries.
Yeah, that's right. And doing it for yourself, I think that's the biggest things. This Hormone Hub episode is sponsored by our free hormone help call. On the call, we'll give you some clarity around what's causing your symptoms and the 3 simple steps you can start using straight away. And if you're ready to take the next step and find out how we can help you, we can talk about that too. So if you're constantly feeling tired, struggling with weight gain, PMS, mood swings, bloating, not sleeping at night, cravings, anxiety, all the things, we're ready to help. If you're ready to ditch those sugar cravings, regain your energy and shift that stubborn weight, then let us help you balance your hormones, reset your metabolism and get your confidence back so you can live the life you're meant to. The link with the details to our hormone help call is in our show notes or over at kyliepinwell.com. So you obviously, when you had the hypnotherapy, you had decided to do it for yourself because I think when we've got partners or family members or, and also I guess part of it is knowing that we should because maybe we are drinking too much. But I think, you've got to come to that point where you've got that readiness within yourself.
Yes.
And you want to do it for you to make you feel better. And, whether it's alcohol, whether it's starting exercise, whether it's sugar, whether we've all got our losing weight, whatever it is, we've all got our thing, Oh, I had a question for you. Yeah. So one of the, the comments I wanted to make is, obviously I speak to a lot of women, and one thing that I have noticed is a lot of, very high or women in sort of high level jobs or high level positions, so very high functioning women who are, drinking a bottle of wine a night just to survive. What sort of advice would you give? You've got that recruitment background, you're used to sort of dealing with women, in those sort of positions. So what sort of advice would you give someone listening who might be thinking, oh, hang on a sec, this is ticking a few boxes, this is sounding a bit familiar?
Look, I can only go through my experience more so than giving advice out, but I really, the difference that I felt with, and you don't realise until you've actually tried it, you don't realise the mental anguish that you go through each day with that little person in the back of your head going, oh, just have one because that will relax you. If you went for a walk at that sort of, I think, 7 o'clock time when you getting home, if they're working in town or if they're still working at that time, the wine doesn't relax you. It does for that moment. It does for that hour. It does for that hour and a half. But when you're waking up at 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, and you've got sweats because you've had too much, and you blame going through menopause on that. And I can trust you, as soon as I gave up drinking, I did not have any night sweats. All the doctors are going, oh, you're going through menopause. And it's like, I haven't had my periods for 3 years now. So obviously I was as well. But the interesting thing is when I've had a drink recently, those sweats came back.
Yes.
So, but look, the biggest thing is, and I think, it's the advertising that's out there that if you're having alcohol, it relaxes you. And at the first glass one of the things that I am practicing with at the moment, so I'll see whether it works. And so it's interesting. We could maybe have another conversation in 3 months or whatever. David R. Hawkins is a guy that I've been reading, and gentleman from years ago, and he wrote about weight loss and curing different illnesses and all this sort of stuff. And one of the things, it's all a mental thing. One of the things that he actually said that they did a lot years ago, back in the 70s, people with split personalities. Yep. So one person, because I had some health issues last year. So one of the people had, let's say, eczema, and then in another personality, they were an alcoholic and so forth. But when they switched personalities, they wouldn't scratch anymore if they were the alcoholic. If they were angry in this other personality, they wouldn't be scratching either. So it made me think about it. It really is your mind. It's a mindset. Yes. And it's really making that commitment to yourself, because it took me 50 years, I think, to, think that somebody else is going to pick those clothes up off the ground and have a tidy house. It's like, no, someone else is going to do it. Yes. But it is that you've got to make that decision for yourself and allow yourself the time, not just do it for one day, because and probably not even a week, but I really think if you gave yourself 4 weeks, 5 weeks, just to, and journal, journal through how you feel now every day when you wake up, and then do it when you stop drinking even if you do it for a week, then journal the week that you're not drinking and just go back and read it, because I know myself when I've done that, the difference that you see is huge. So that's where David Hawkins was saying, it has to just be the mind playing tricks on us, saying that, that will make me feel so much more relaxed, or I deserve it. So I used to allow myself, by Thursday, if I hadn't had any all week, it'd be like, Thursday, well, I've had such a busy week. I've made a placement. I've picked up a new job. I've done this. Kids are all sorted. I can have a wine. And because it is Thursday and I haven't had anything all week, I could have the bottle, because really, if we look at it, you know what I mean? So it's all, I'm having these
to yourself.
And that's one thing that I loved. I did not have that, because it is coming back a little bit. So I need to work on it. That, today, it's Wednesday. I haven't had anything all week. My husband's had to go away for a work conference. I could just have a glass. Where when I wasn't drinking at all, it did not even enter my mind.
Yes,
but it still takes some time to get to that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think one thing I talk about the ladies I work with quite often is, because we do like to make ourselves feel nice and we do like to reward ourselves. So it's sort of changing those habits. So, and I think the ritual of drinking out of a wine glass is nice. But, it doesn't have to be wine in the wine glass. We can still have the nice wine glass, but have, some mineral water with some fresh berries or some mint or some lemon or lime or something. But also too, another sort of thing that I sort of suggest is, lighting a candle on the kitchen bench. So if you've got this beautiful candle and you can smell the beautiful candle, that's a nice thing. It makes us feel nice. Or having a bunch of flowers in view, because, and I know I struggled in the beginning buying myself flowers. I was like, they're just a lot of money. They're just going to die. But when I have the flowers there, and I always put them in a spot where I can see them, I look at them and they make me feel good, like it's just that instant reward. So, when it comes to sort of changing out those habits of, because we want to reward ourselves, we want to make ourselves feel better or feel good, or, aren't we great? We, had such a great week. And, how can we do it in other ways so we still get that kind of like little dopamine hit of our reward center without it being, on the flip side, something that's potentially, destructive.
Well, I also, with the app, that I had in that was telling me every day how much I'd given up, it also has how much money you saved. Yeah. So my little reward at the moment is buying clothes for myself. Yeah. So,
because giving up alcohol, you also dropped a fair bit of weight too.
Yeah, I did. I lost all up, put on a little bit more, but I lost all up 10 kilos.
Yeah.
And it wasn't difficult to do. And I didn't so I shouldn't say this to you, Kylie, but I didn't really do a lot of exercise. I did yoga, a lot of yoga, but and walks, but not like getting out there running, weights and all that sort of stuff. But it's also the healthier choices that I chose to, instead of, grabbing, like we were saying before, all the carbs that I wanted, it would be, I'd have something that I knew that would nourish my body. And it's that self. I think the biggest thing that I got from when I stopped drinking was the self-love. I'd say the biggest challenge that I found was the way other people reacted to me not drinking. Yeah. And it was I found it. And then I was thinking to myself recently whether it was me reacting to them, but it was, because people are like, oh, was she an alcoholic? Oh, did she have real issues with that? But maybe they weren't. That's me thinking, were they thinking that? Like, no one actually said that to me. Because I think the people that I was speaking with or was friends with, they're thinking, oh, God, I drink as much as she does, so should I stop?
Yeah, that's right. It makes people think about their own, what they are actually up to. So, yeah. All right, Nick. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today and sharing, your journey. It's really, I think, really interesting. It's certainly given me a lot to think about. The fact that, we can give up something that we enjoy, that we kind of on a different level know that it's probably not doing us too many favours. And we can give it up and we're going to be okay, we're going to be more than okay.
Yeah. And I think so also with my journey moving forward, it is looking at trying to add that moderation into everything that I do and giving yourself that acceptance.
Yes.
To allow that, well, you've done it before, so if it gets down to that side where it's going, oh, hang on, Nick, let's bring ourselves back. Yeah. That you've done it before, and just being compassionate, I suppose, is the word to yourself.
Yeah, that's it. And show yourself some kindness. It doesn't have to be a perfect journey either.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, ladies. Well, I will put the link to the app that Nick, and also to the book that Nick talked about, in the show notes. And certainly, if this is something that you'd like to have a talk about, discussion about, we are always up for that as well. So thank you, Nick, so much. It's been an absolute pleasure, and we may well check in with you again in a few months and see
more than happy to.
All right.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for taking the time to listen today. You can head on over to the show notes at kyliepinwell.com/podcast, where you'll find all the links, and I have a little bonus surprise waiting for you. Before we go, it would mean the world to me if you head on over to your favourite podcasts channel, subscribe and leave a review. Make sure to screenshot it, DM it to me so I can thank you personally. Then stay tuned for next week's episode. Can't wait to see you then.